Hey y'all, welcome back. I am excited to hop into some of the leadership stuff that we do at Mount Vernon in our Mustang Strength and Speed program. And so when you take a look at like the outcomes that we want for our kids, it's not just sport performance. It's not just being more durable or being able to reduce injury. What we want is to be able to impact our student athletes for a lifetime. And when we really think about that, and what I think you get like a ton of carryover to from the weight room or your training session to actual sports is leadership development. So every week we take time to go through two different type of curriculums. One curriculum is our nutrition curriculum, and then the opposite week we do leadership development, and we go back and forth. But as everyone knows, you can't just go every other week on lessons to actually get a benefit from it. So we're talking about it all the time. We have dedicated time where we sit down and have discussion and an actual time where we will learn every other week. Okay, so here's what it looks like for us. We want to empower students to pursue excellence, lead with integrity, and positively impact the world. So if that is like this lofty goal of what we're trying to do at Mustang Strength and Speed, how does that actually get done? Well, it's the day in, day out, being consistent, as a coach, living the way that you're supposed to live, so that you can have a platform, so that you can explain to kids what it looks like to do it for the long term, so that you can be there in their corner when things are tough or things aren't going exactly the way that they want them. So with all that in mind, how do we actually do that vision? How do we actually get to that goal? For us, like the mission or how we lay it out is to joyfully work today to be better than yesterday, right? Everybody's on the pursuit to be the best that they can be. And if we can joyfully work toward that, that's where we're going to have the most bang for our buck, right? When we see the value that we have within our day of being a strength or performance coach or whatever you want to call it, you'll see such an increase in buy-in or connectivity or however you want to say it with your student athletes. And that's what we're chasing for. So when we actually go into our leadership development stuff, we do everything through the lens of E plus R equals O. And many of you have heard about E plus R equals O. I think the person that I learned about it from is Timothy Kite. He also had a podcast at the time with his son, Brian Kite. And those two really dove into the ins and outs of E plus R equals O. And today I'll just do a short overview of that and what that looks like for a framework to tee it up for the next few lessons that we'll go through. So the first thing you have to know in E plus R equals O is what do those letters even stand for? So E stands for event, R stands for response, and then O is the outcome that happens because of that. It's an equation, right? So the event that we have in our life is the circumstance, the situation, whatever it is, like you can narrow it down into a number of different things. It could be a whole week, really, but like you have this certain set of criteria that's coming in to the way that you're living, right? It forms your perceptions, you kind of see it a certain way, all of that. And then you have a response. So like, what does it actually look to like? Knowing the event that we have, knowing the circumstance that we have, what does it actually look like to interact and move forward, to be the best that we can be that particular day? So for us, what we say is it comes down to attitude, effort, and discipline. That's our R factor. That is the R response, that we could have and the things that we can actually control. And we'll dive into those in the weeks to come. What I really want kids to know, though, is that you can have an event that really sucks or it's really great, whatever it is, and you can have the best response in the world, and it doesn't mean your outcome's going to be great. All it means is we can hopefully impact our outcome or influence our outcome in a favorable way. Does that always happen? Absolutely not. Sometimes you have a really good event, a really crappy response, and you still have a great outcome, or vice versa, right? There's so much nuance to it. But if we want to be able to stay sane, to be able to control the things that we've been given in our life, like a great mindset or a great work ethic or what it would look like to do that consistently, then we really, really nail down this R factor, this response. Okay, so in the weeks to come, we'll talk about attitude, which is synonymous with mindset. It means the same thing. It's the mindset that one possesses and engages the world with. So perspective is such a big deal, right? You can see something as I get to or I have to, and that is a whole nother thing that we'll get into in the weeks to come. But really, it comes down to, for our kids, are we having the best mindset that we can? And we break it down into 3 terms, which we'll get into a little bit later. The second thing that we have is effort. When we talk about effort, it's the quality of work that one is willing to engage in to accomplish a certain task. Okay, and we have 3 more terms that feed into that. So to define good effort, we have 3 terms that we'll look at over the weeks to come of what does that really look like within our program. And then the last one is discipline. And this is the choice to apply specific standards to achieve meaningful objectives. Now, with all that being said, like, you might be like, well, I hear coaches all the time say attitude and effort are the things that you can control. So why the heck are you throwing discipline in here? Well, for me, in other words, just set aside the longer description or the way that you define it. For us, it's just the means by which one accomplishes attitude and effort. So if you aren't disciplined, you cannot have a good attitude. Not day in and day out anyway. And if you're not disciplined, you're not going to give great effort. Just not day in and day out anyway. So we really dive into what does it look like to be disciplined as we move forward. And then we want all of these things to impact our kids on the court, on the field, on the track, on the mat, in the pool, on the dance floor, whatever they're doing. We want it to impact them in a positive way right now with their teams. But what they're going to see is our sports, the sports that we do, are great opportunities to reveal character. It's an awesome opportunity for our coaches to build up character. And for us, we see sports as a microcosm for life. So we can keep on putting kids in tough situations and giving the tools that they need to respond in an awesome way. Not just be on autopilot, but to actually respond in an awesome way to hopefully get the best outcomes that we can. And that takes so many people, right? It's not just me. It's not just our assistant strength and conditioning coach here at Mount Vernon. It's not any one person. It's sport coaches, admin, parents, obviously our student athletes, everybody coming together in this community type feel for us to be the best that we can be, right? And that pays dividends now, wins and losses and all that type of stuff, you bet. I'm sure there are so many things that we could point to say, yes, culture matters, right? Everybody knows that stuff. But really, we want 5, 10, 15 years down the road, are our kids making the choices that we need them to make in tough situations, that they should be making in tough situations. So that's all I have for you today. I'm excited to go on this journey. It is so tough for me to actually get in front of a camera and talk like this, but I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to help other people learn and just impart a lot of the stuff that I've learned from the Big Time Strength podcast or working with the awesome people I do here at Mount Vernon and how we actually implement the things that we implement at Mustang Strength and Speed day in and day out for the last 7-8 years. So I appreciate you tuning in and be on the lookout for the next video.